there's royalty free and Creative Commons. And if you want to think about it in a very general sense, royalty free, you don't need to do any sort of attribution to the original content creator. So if you think about stock audio clips, for example, that you play underneath a broadcast as a roll-in or a bumper, when you use royalty-free stock audio, you don't need to add kind of a credit at the end saying like intro music by such and such person, right? You paid for access to that stock audio. You can layer it under your video. You don't have to give that attribution, and you can just use it as you see fit, right? But under that umbrella of royalty-free, you've got different kind of subcategories to it, right? You've got editorial licenses, which are more geared for print. Think about like magazines and newspapers and other published works. You don't get unlimited access to it. Usually those print runs are, limited to, a few 100,000 copies of published work, but you can also use it for online publications like digital magazines as well.
The royalty free is sort of the biggest category because it's where it's the easiest for us producers to use. And that's why royalty free means you don't have to follow up with additional payments afterwards. If your show goes big, you don't have to keep track of it. And you want to acquire a little library of stuff that really fits your brand. You go to that library that can sell you the stuff that you can use consistently over and over again in multiple productions.
You've also got commercial licenses, and this is, where you can, a lot of digital and physical type of applications, but this is specifically enables people to use these types of stock media in commercial settings, right? Think of like corporate uses, making money off of the content. Print runs are a little bit more limited, but again, you also have to look very closely at some of the restrictions that might be coming along with those kinds of commercial licenses like we were talking about earlier. It really depends on, the library you get it from, what sort of rights they might have imposed there. So definitely keep a close eye on that. But again, because it falls under that royalty-free category, you don't need to give that credit to the original author once you've downloaded it and purchased it, and you can use it however you'd like. And then the final kind of category under royalty-free is an extended royalty-free license. So this allows you to make commercial use of the work. You can also resell any products that feature those works, but the only caveat there is you can't resell the original work itself. You have to use it as part of something else. You have to add on to it in some way or modify it in some way in order to add additional value. So you
Creating
think about
your own library almost always violates your user agreement.
Right, yeah. And so a great example of this that I've used tons of times in the past, right, is creating like a product user interface promotional image, right? So I would, back in the day at some other, all of my other past lives at different companies, right? I've gathered, a handful of royalty-free stock images from these libraries that feature people typing on blank computer screens or using a tablet with nothing on it or something along those lines. And then I'll superimpose a user interface within that device to show kind of what that product looks like in a real world sort of context, right? And that is totally fine because I've altered that image in some way. I've added on to it. I'm not reselling the original work itself. I'm doing it as part of a larger design meaning or a design concept. And that's the trick with extended licenses. If you want to use them, you have to make sure that you're using it as part of something else.